Hey, jerk!
Oh, God, this is embarrassing.
What are you doing, buddy?
This is my Cinemax comedy experiment, Dave.
Yeah. And it's just you?
Yeah, I'm the star.
Yeah. Wasn't that your dad I saw back there?
Yeah, it was. He's doing a little cameo in it.
Yeah, which one is he, Bob or Ray? I can never keep those two guys straight.
I can't either. I think it's Bob, Dave.
Yeah.
I should kind of keep moving here to keep things going.
So you're the star of this thing?
Yeah, I'm the star. It's my special.
Yeah, well, they'll put anything on cable.
Hello and welcome to another edition of this podcast where we dig through the dumpster of television history and pull out a half-eaten TV pilot, flick off the maggots and the debris, and look at it for a while and then toss it back in the trash where it belongs. My name is Stuart, and we have a full house tonight. Joining me, as always, the most handsome man I have ever had the pleasure of doing a podcast with, Joe!
Hey, howdy. I can't live up to that.
Joe, how many old episodes of David Letterman did you watch to prepare for this?
Oh, Jesus. I watched clips from at least 50.
Oh, that might work. All right, in our third seat, we have podcast newcomer, Dominic.
Oh, my. What a great description. That's exactly what's happening.
Dominic, how on earth did Joe talk you into appearing on this show?
I would say the 6th or 7th time he asked, I finally had to say yes so I could get him off my back about it. So not too much pressure, just constant asking.
That's apparently how he met as a current partner. Isn't that right?
That's true.
Gotta wear them down.
That and I traded some magic beans for.
And
Last but not least,
on our infrequently used fourth stool, a woman whose only known flaw is her extremely bizarre taste in men, a Brienne.
I don't like that intro.
You know?
Can you just put in some sick ass wrestling intro or something instead?
Yeah, put in the John Cena music.
Oh yeah.
The Stone Cold entrance is the best. I would go with that one.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Put in the real-time music for me.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah. Just do Joe's version of it, actually.
And
Last but not least,
on our infrequently used fourth stool, a Brienne.
ah, much better.
Joe, is that the John Cena music? Because I thought it was...
That's real-time by Fillmore.
Okay.
He wrote the score too.
You know who canceled Action Family? The Republicans.
So, Brienne, tell us the truth. You're really here because you want to talk about the hot dog scene, right?
Oh man, it's so true. I haven't done a lot of these shows, but kind of demanded to be wedged into this one because it was really fucking good. I really enjoyed it, and actually, after we watched it the first time, I demanded to see it again, like a little kid, on a ride, again.
It's true.
It was fabulous. It was really great.
So tonight, like Brienne said, we are all very excited because we have gathered here to talk about maybe the best thing we've ever seen.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, man. Usually you make me sit through this awful, fucking terrible bullshit that doesn't make any sense, and this was not that. Thankfully,
It didn't make any sense, but we were okay with that.
It's not supposed
great.
to make sense.
it was fabulous nonsense.
This was the Chris Elliot
Chris Elliot, an absolute god of surrealist comedy.
It was so good.
1986. That's all I have to say.
How was it from 1986? It boggles my fucking mind.
That's the most mind-boggling part.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The whole time I was watching it, I was just thinking, I feel like I'm watching an episode of Mr. Show from 2007 or something like that. It was so on point with that whole style, but it was, 20 years previous. Absolutely.
So ahead of its time.
This is a 2012 Adult Swim short, right?
100%.
Yeah, they could release this on Adult Swim right now.
I read an article actually, that said Dan Harmon was very much influenced by this.
Really?
It influenced Community a little bit. Like, I think like the quickness of the jokes, maybe. I don't remember exactly what it said, but
It's not surprising. Was Chris Elliot on Community?
I don't recall him showing up.
I don't remember.
Somebody Google that.
I'm sitting on computer for Google.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see. Let me just Google how to spell community, and then we will do. It says here he is as Russell Borchardt. So I guess so.
Comes full circle.
And he looks extremely wild, has a massive beard and giant afro.
That sounds about
He
right.
looks like the fucking dumpster leper from Mulholland Drive.
Yes, he does.
I feel like you can't really talk about Chris Elliott without talking about his dad, Bob Elliott, who was half of the legendary comedy duo Bob and Ray.
If you want my body and you think I'm sexy, come along and tell me so. If you feel you need,
Which we could easily do an entire podcast about.
Did they have a pilot?
No. Well, they were mostly on radio,
Yeah.
if you can believe it. That's how old that is. So they did this kind of deadpan proto improv comedy, which was kind of surreal, heady stuff, but also relied on being kind of boring because they both always played it straight as opposed to like zany slapstick. They were like very deadpan, very dry.
Like very serious.
Oh, like that. What was the Martin Mull? Welcome to
Fernwood Tonight.
Fernwood Tonight.
Tonight from Fernwood Tonight, coming to you live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth
Yeah,
Kimball.
kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually dead on. It's exactly that kind of deadpan style. It's the kind of thing that you really can't like take a clip from or like pull a punchline from. You have to follow along with the whole sketch in order to get the joke.
Yeah, everything is in the moment on that. Out of context, it doesn't work.
It's not about punchlines or gag. It's like a rhythm that builds to a crescendo, you know?
say, you must have been the first man to have ever won the most beautiful face contest, aren't you?
Yes, I believe I am. They've been relaxing the requirements this year.
They were really comedians, I guess you'd say. And it's not hard to see how Chris Elliott would develop his comedy style
Absolutely.
from that.
It really isn't. His father obviously is like his biggest influence. And like obviously very supportive of his son's just absolutely batshit insane comedy.
Well, he does, star in this and other, Get a Life.
Yeah.
And so obviously he's into it. That's cool.
He plays his dad in Get Alive.
Is he in Cabin Boy?
Yeah. He plays his father at the end.
God damn it.
Dang it, I didn't know that was... That's great.
He has this like aura to him where you're not even really sure that he gets the joke or why it's funny. He just seems like he's just an old man reading lines.
He's perfected that technique from when he did Bob and Ray, and it shows. And it's interesting because I knew that he was a comedian, but I wasn't exposed to any of his stuff before you showed me Bob and Ray. And man, oh man, like everything about Chris Elliott made a lot more sense after seeing just one of those shows. So it was really cool.
Does your real life dad get it? The stuff you do? Does he appreciate it?
I don't think so at all.
Really?
I think he's becoming more and more baffled the more he sees of what I do. He laughs heartily at things, but I don't know. I don't know for sure if he understands it, or I don't know if I do. I mean, there's nothing really that deep to it except that it's me being goofy.
Chris Elliott, he's a comedic genius and kind of a victim of being just way, way, way ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
I would say that this show was the prime example of that. This was a little bit more low-key and less absurd and ridiculous than some other things like Get a Life or Cabin Boy, where he's just off the charts ridiculous. This was actually kind of like muted. He was trying harder to play a 70s detective and a family guy.
I thought all the 70s scenes had that almost like slight undertone feel of I'm 30% playing this straight as if I were acting in an actual 70s detective show, and it's really great.
I feel like Chris Elliott, he always kind of plays himself.
Yeah.
He's just this insufferable, self-important idiot.
He's a brat.
Exactly. So he got his start on Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
At 21.
He already looked 40.
Shit, we looked up his age last night because I was like, how the fuck old is he? Like, he always looked old.
Yeah.
He's just like his dad. He always looks old. But being 21, he basically used his father's notability to get hired.
I immediately told him who my dad was. I blurted that out right away. My dad's Bob of Bob and Ray, if that helps me at all in your eyes. And he said, I'm a big fan of Bob and Ray. I'd love to get him on The Tonight Show sometime when I host it. And for some reason I said, my dad doesn't do The Tonight Show unless Johnny Carson hosts. And he was like, oh, yeah, all right. And he kind of walked away.
That's the dream.
And when he does his appearances on Letterman, he comes off that way. He's like a precocious kid, and Letterman treats him that way.
He does, and he ruins his bits. All of the Chris Elliott as Marlon Brando, like bring him out, and Letterman's always like, oh wait, it's just Chris Elliott.
Yeah.
It's great.
He lets him do whatever he wants for 10 minutes, and it's usually something that's a big waste of time, you know?
Yeah.
If you don't know who this guy is, you're just like, why? Why is David Letterman letting this asshole derail the show? And that's why it's so funny. Just so our listeners know, there are hours and hours worth of classic Letterman on YouTube, and you could spend just days going down Chris Elliott rabbit holes.
Yeah, you really can. People have done the work to put the clips together, too. I mean, every single little YouTube video featuring Chris Elliott on Letterman was like an hour and a half to 2 hours long. You can just sit there and just burn through them and never get bored.
Oh, we definitely burned through some last night. What was it? The guy that lives under the stairs?
Yeah, the guy under the stairs.
That was episode number 8 of our running character, The Guy Under the Seat, starring our own Chris Elliott. Chris, oh, there he is right now. Come on up, Chris, and take a bow.
That was a fabulous compilation of that. No, man.
It didn't really get old.
No. We watched the whole fucking 2 hours of that short bit. It was worth every penny.
There's just something about him that is just so likable. He has the similar style of comedy to Letterman, arrogant and completely full of himself, but it's still delightful and hilarious to watch.
Absolutely.
It's like a delightful scam.
Yeah. He's a little shit.
We know he's up to something, and we're along for the ride.
When you see Chris Elliott, it kind of takes you out of the whole show, and you're just focused on how enjoyable it is to see Chris Elliott in whatever program it is you happen to be watching. He always just sticks out as, hey, it's Chris Elliott being Chris Elliott in a different wig on TV. It's very funny.
It always is a different wig.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We have here a copy of the new Teen Beat magazine. Have you seen this, Paul?
Yeah, I did see it earlier today, yeah.
Teen Beat magazine. This is their newest issue. And on the inside, take a look at this, if I can find it. Chris Elliott, late night hunk. In here, according to Chris, he was born May 31st, 1967, which would make him 19. That means that when we hired him 5 years ago, yes, he was 14.
One of the bits that I watched was him going on Letterman and saying that he was getting hair plugs and then having these horrendous looking fake hair plugs. And this was 1985. Yes. And then shows up on another episode with a full fucking pompadour wig. And he's like, I'm in Teen Beat magazine. And no shit. He literally had a spread in Teen Beat magazine.
That's amazing.
Oh, God.
I have a copy of the interview that they did.
I thought for sure you were going to say you had a copy
I know.
of the Teen Beat magazine.
My heart stopped. I was like, oh, yes, I want to see that.
I have the spread photo and the interview.
So folks at home, this is a good time to let everybody know that we now have an Instagram where we will be putting supplemental information. This photo and interview will be on our Instagram later on for you to analyze.
Yeah, we'll also put the sexy Larry King photo on there from Knee High PI.
I forgot to do that. Or put that on the upload schedule.
Just lifting his shirt up and pulling his fucking trousers down, and he has no pubes. And he's muscly.
Are these fake photos, or did they actually get Larry King to do a sexy photo shoot for him?
For me, they're real. They'll be real.
I mean, that's what I would like to think about it.
I would like to not think about it, actually, and I'm going to go ahead and call out Joe. This is the one pilot that was actually not miserable to watch, and you're talking about knee-high PI. It's like going out for filet mignons and talking about that great hot dog you had in an alley one time. Get out of here with that.
Hey, that great hot dog was served to me by Bob Elliot.
After listening to your excellent episode about knee-high PI, I had to go watch it myself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez, that was not the idea.
These guys know what they're talking about here. This is terrible. I should have just enjoyed the podcast and moved on.
That's our message.
They're trying to help.
Enjoy the podcast and move on.
Yeah, that's literally the whole purpose of the show.
Yes. We watch it so you don't have to.
You're doing a valuable service.
We're like sin eaters or whipping boys.
1986, Chris Elliot is working on David Letterman's show. I think at that point he'd won a couple of Emmys. So he's doing really good there. And Cinemax approaches him to do an episode of their comedy experiment series. That's what Action Family is. He actually did an interview in 2012 for Salon. This is an interview with Dave Hill. I'm just going to read this little excerpt. This is
the Dave Hill?
I guess. This seems like there's several.
If it's the Dave Hill, I think it is. He's a friend of the show.
I know Dave Hill as well. He's also a writer.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
There's a lot of them.
These are the Daves I know. These are the Daves I know.
So this is Chris Elliott speaking. Cinemax, back then, they were doing these comedy experiments. They came to me, and most of those comedy experiments were stand-up comedians doing their bits. They asked me if I wanted to do one, and I said, yeah, but it has to be like a sketch kind of thing. I've been obsessed with 70s TV shows since I was a kid, that and also sitcoms from then. The idea to me was to combine those two things that I love into one show. So it was kind of Mannix and Partridge Family combined.
Mannix.
I would go from the Tough Mannix exterior film stuff and then walk into my house, and it would be video, and I would be with a laugh track in a sitcom.
I didn't realize that at the time. The outdoor scenes were shot on film and the indoor scenes were shot on video. Am I right?
I didn't find it to be that cut and dry. I feel like it's more of a mood shift thing, because sometimes he's in the police station and he's in the mall, and that's all shot on film.
Well, you know what it is? It's anytime he puts the wig on.
The wig, yeah.
I felt like there were times when he was wearing the wig and it wasn't. I didn't feel like there really were any rules. It was just whatever was funny. There weren't any signals other than the laugh track and the film quality.
Okay, let's take it back a step.
Okay.
If you were to say, hey, I'm making this show and it's going to be, what would happen if you mushed together the Brady Bunch and a police detective show? You would think it would be smoothly blended together. This is absolutely not smoothly blended together, and that's purposeful. It's kind of jerky, and you're jerked from one show to the next.
Yeah.
It's clunky, and they're making fun of it, and I love how it really feels patched together. It's not seamless at all.
So if you love movies, you'll love Cinemax. But there's more to love. Like wild and wacky comedy you'll see only on Cinemax. And the latest and greatest from today's hottest music stars. Cinemax has something for everyone 24 hours a day. All uncut and uninterrupted. Best of all, 1 month of Cinemax costs less than taking your family out to a single movie.
I feel like our younger listeners maybe have never even encountered cable TV unless they're at their grandparents and they have no cell service.
It still exists.
So you have your basic cable package. In the 80s, that was mostly crap, like Shopping Network, Televangelist, Weather Channel,
TNT,
Nickelodeon, USA,
that White Sox channel, WGBA or whatever.
WGN, the world's greatest newspaper.
Jesus. Why do people hate Ted Turner again?
Because he had that cool yacht racing phase.
Oh, that's true.
Isn't he also the guy that produced the CNN End of the World video? Isn't that his idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So, Brienne, do you know what this is? So, Ted Turner, when he started CNN, he realized that when the end of the world came, they would need to, be ready. So, he made a video for them to play on CNN when Armageddon is announced.
Yeah, I have one of those. You didn't... you never made one of those?
Well, I think everybody has a tape to put in to watch when the end is near.
Oh, boy.
You have your basic cable, and then you had your second tier. which was like Showtime, HBO, Disney Channel. They're completely different because they don't show commercials and they would show stuff uninterrupted. Basically, their bread and butter was showing like Hollywood movies complete without any censorship.
Or like Cinemax.
Show It Time.
Show It Time. I've never heard that one.
HBO.
Wow.
So Cinemax was kind of like HBO 2. I always felt like they were the sleaziest.
Yeah, they had Emmanuel in Space, right?
They had all the Emmanuels, but I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God.
I had all the Emmanuels. You know what I'm saying?
We don't. Elaborate.
No. No.
So to understand the show, Cinemax, they already have an audience that have already paid. They're not really that worried about ratings because they don't have any sponsors that they have to make happy. And they're not worried about censorship. What they needed was outrageous content. So they made the sage decision to just approach comedians, give them a micro budget, and then leave them alone with complete creative freedom to do anything they want. Most comedians chose to just film their stand-up with maybe like a sketch or two thrown in. A precious few created wholly original, one-off, true comedy experiments. It was a huge treasure trove. I definitely have added a few to our spreadsheet.
I wonder if this was sort of like that Amazon situation from a few years ago, where they put up like The Tick and the Jean-Claude Van Johnson stuff, and whichever one got the better ratings, they would turn into a series.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was kind of like that. It doesn't sound like
Yeah, like a Project Greenlight kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's not like a crazy idea to think it could be some sort of like incubator where, you know, you could come up with a great idea and then all of a sudden it like blows up and you have a series.
We are Cinemax. We are your movie star.
Comedy in the 80s, by the way, was like huge business. It was like making tons of money compared to what it makes now.
Yeah, which is makes me almost have a coronary every time I try to watch a modern stand-up special.
These are comedy films that were in the top 10 highest grossing films of 1986. Crocodile Dundee budget was $8 million. It made $328 million at the box office.
Jesus Christ.
Back to School, $11 million budget, $91 million at the box office.
Fuck.
Ruthless People, $9 million. Box office, $71 million.
Never even heard of that.
Just think of all the money that Paul Hogan has right now.
Oh, he's insanely rich.
Yeah, he's very rich.
And one of the biggest pieces of shit in Hollywood from all accounts.
Cheated on his wife with his co-star in that movie.
It makes sense why there's like 4 Crocodile Dundee sequels. Because everybody was like, yeah, I need to get on that Crocodile Dundee train.
Of course, you got to put him in Los Angeles at some point.
You got to give him a kid to hang out with.
Yeah.
Can you guess what the last really high grossing comedy film was?
Ooh, I'm going to say the Hangover movies.
Brienne, you got to guess.
No idea.
I'm going to say 40-Year-Old Virgin.
All right. There were no solidly comedy films in the top 50 films of the 2010s. None. Zero. There were none in the 2000s.
Jesus.
The last time a comedy film was a really high grossing film, Something About Mary.
Oh, God.
At a budget of $23,369 million. And that's 1998. That was the last time like a comedy film really made money.
That's crazy.
That's incredible.
I just rewatched that movie looking for one very specific clip, and it is awful. It is like not funny, and I'm not a prude. I love raunchy bullshit comedy, and I just thought it was unwatchable almost. It was so fucking boring. Oh, Chris Elliot is in it as well.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
It all comes around.
There's Woogie, the foot fetishist.
Woogie.
He didn't write in that?
No, that's the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah, they're real insular. They only work with each other. They sleep in a big bed together wearing matching pajamas and nightcaps.
They've tried to set him up with Tiffany and Indigo, but there's something about Mary that they don't know. Mary.
I feel like the only thing that would hold up from that film would be the ethereal Jonathan Richman playing guitar in the trees.
That definitely holds up because he's a fucking treasure.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you make me want to puke.
Other than that, I don't really remember having like a big laugh.
But the hair gel scene,
No.
man.
Oh, God.
No, don't. I don't even want to talk about that. We're not.
It was
talking
so
about that.
funny. Don't you remember when he was inconvenienced by his own personal needs, but he worked it out and got hair gel for his lovely date for the evening?
I'm literally wearing a shirt that just says "come" on it right now. That is like not.
Well, there's something about Mary.
Yeah, not a funny joke to me. I mean, the shirt also not really that funny. Although it is come in the Doom font.
Well,
it makes sense why these channels were throwing money at comedians. There were all these comedy specials on HBO and Showtime that they're just like, a lot of them are just legendary.
Would this be right around the same time as the Eddie Murphy ones as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Prime.
Delirious.
When I say go, everybody whip out their dick and go,
I think every working comedian had some kind of special because they were just throwing money at them. It's cheap to have a guy standing on a stage and film it. It's not like today. Like, you can just open your phone and see something mind-bogglingly, weird. In 1986, when this came out, you had to either live in a city with, comedy club scene and, be really in the know, or go down to the local cinema and shell out, $12-15 for a movie.
Oh, here comes Grandpa Stewart. Back in our day, we didn't have entertainment. We had to go to the city to get that.
You'd stare at a river for hours, perfectly still, your hands at your side, just looking into the river.
You ever sit by a fire? That's real entertainment.
It's never the same twice when you're looking at that good old-fashioned fire.
All joking aside, like, I grew up in the fucking woods, so I didn't know anybody that had Cinemax or cable at all, actually. So that's why I'm, like, so unknowledgeable about other stuff from this time period. Like, I just didn't have access to it.
We're here for you.
She doesn't know anything about movie comedy from that era, but
no,
she can field dress a buck and she can run a trot line.
I can. If you had to describe Action Family in 2 words, it would be Action Family. I mean, I think it says it all.
I mean, they did use different fonts for the 2, words. So right there, when you're going in,
They used the Metal Gear Solid font for action, and they used the Brady Bunch font for family.
I thought it was the Ultimate Warrior font. It kind of looked like to me.
Oh.
All that is left is total self-destruction.
So what's the line from the song? It's like, if crime is a cancer, like, let's kill it. Or...
Yeah. Let's blow it away.
Because when things get rough, love isn't the answer. If crime is a cancer, let's blow it away.
Really fucking amazing.
If crime is a cancer, let's blow it away.
And the fact that children are singing it, it's like, it's so good.
The show kind of had a lot in common with a show we watched last season, Look Well.
It's really half Look Well, half 1775.
That's a hot take. The dynamic was Look Well was absurd and everyone else was straight.
Yeah.
In this one, everyone and everything is absurd. There is no straight character. There is only absurdity, which is really hard to do right.
But they're all sincere about it.
That's true.
No one thinks that they're being ridiculous. They all think that they're being completely proper in the way they're acting.
Yeah.
Yes, very sincere in their absurdity. With absurdity, you kind of have to like develop a rapport with the audience because it's just nonsense and you don't have another character acting as the audience's voice. It can get really frustrating. It's impossible to have a neutral position on this kind of comedy. Prime example would be Tim and Eric. You love it or you hate it. There are no people that say, Tim and Eric, they're okay. They're funny sometimes, whatever. No, you absolutely don't want to watch it or you love it.
I disagree because specifically, awesome show, great job. There are times when I really love it. And there are times where I just can't handle it, where it's just too much for me.
But even so, like those reactions and them like are both extreme. You're never like, this is boring. It's either like that is hilarious or like that is so disgusting or awkward or weird that I just want my eyes to fall out.
Yeah, but you get it. You know what they're doing.
They're being provocative.
Yeah.
You can draw a distinct line between Action Family and early 2000s Adult Swim humor.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
Which makes this mind-blowing for 1986.
Yes.
Before we dive in the show, let's briefly talk about the version we watched. Did everybody watch the same one on YouTube?
I think so, because I think it's the only one. Just kind of like
yes,
little low res. Somebody with the VHS needs to re-upload.
Please.
Need to re-rip it.
Yeah. I felt like the reason why maybe I couldn't tell the difference between like the video and film, we were watching like it taped off of something, you know? Like it
Yeah.
was like a copy of a copy and it wasn't very good and I couldn't really see all the details.
I did feel robbed by not being able to see the difference between the film and the video. I was looking forward to it upon my second viewing after reading about the contrast in the way they shot
Yeah,
it.
I'm like, well, it all looks like shit.
But it was so
Oh, yeah.
grainy. I could not tell. I watched it on a TV and a computer screen, hoping to kind of see the difference, and I couldn't tell, which was unfortunate. Yeah.
That's too bad.
I bet your TV is too high quality, so it was like sampling it weird or something. Because I could tell the difference on my.
Yeah, I mean, I got it from high quality electronics superstore, so I'm figuring that's probably the problem.
Yeah, their stuff is normally too high quality.
This was uploaded to YouTube October 24th, 2014. It has 40,000 views. Pretty good.
When Dad is at home and we are together.
The show starts with the theme song. We see Chris Elliot in a box with the children, all in boxes, looking at him.
It is the Brady Bunch intro.
It's literally the Brady Bunch intro. The song explains the whole premise of the show. Most of it doesn't really rhyme. They're just quickly explaining the premise.
But when he's at work, we hear stormy weather and danger and death are in the
Cuts to scenes of violence and explosions and gunfights, and the music switches to like a distorted wailing guitar, and then it shifts back to the family scene where it's the Brady Bunch theme again, and it does that back and forth and back and forth.
I definitely laughed twice pretty hard during just the intro. The silly small plane blowing up for seemingly no reason got me, and the very, very open-mouthed kiss towards the end I lost it pretty good on that one.
There were a lot of really open-mouthed kisses in this show, actually.
Yeah.
The show starts, we are in action mode. We have a bass, hi-hat, and wailing guitar music that is stereotypical of the cop genre. And Chris Elliot is standing on a street corner smoking, and he's dressed like a 70s guy.
It's like a clown version. The tie is a little bit too big, the suit's a little bit too plaid, his hair is a little bit too huge. Everything about this is off.
First thing that happens is we meet No Brain.
Hey, Chris! How we doing today?
He's an older black gentleman holding a huge stand-up bass on the sidewalk. No Brain's played by Jimmy Butts, whose only other role is as an uncredited baby in a 1935 film called Straight from the Heart.
Now that's a career.
No Brain says hello to Chris, who immediately makes fun of the way he talks.
Jive talk.
Now, No Brain, I was listening very closely to what you just said. I have both ears open. Yeah. And this is what I think I heard you say. Hey, Chris, what is that, scat talk or something?
It's like Pee Wee Herman trying to speak Spanish.
No debes mezclarte con alguien así. Soy un solitario, Dottie. Un rebelde.
He gives No Brain a quarter and tells him to go to college.
Here's a quarter. Yeah? Why don't you go to college, buddy?
Cool, baby.
That might be my favorite line in the entire show. That one really made me laugh.
That was pretty good. And he goes, all right, baby. Like,
Yeah, he's so genuinely happy for it. I felt like he's thinking about maybe going to college with it.
No Brain loves quarters.
He does.
He goes inside and we see the window of his office, which says Chris Elliot, investigator. So as we're entering the office, we switch to a POV style and we see his secretary, who's an older black lady. And this is Edie Bird, who was a character actor in the 1980s and 90s. This was the type of role she always played, just kind of like an older lady. Not a whole lot of dynamic roles for older black ladies, unfortunately, in the 80s and 90s. Eartha Kitt took them all, unfortunately.
Ooh, Eric the Viking.
Stupid.
Also, fun fact, she's married to Jimmy Butts, so that's why he's there.
Oh, okay. Not Eartha Kitt.
Get out of here and don't come back!
That was explain his nice butt into his careers.
We're in this like POV style, and Peggy goes in for a huge kiss. We cut to a 3/4 view of her and Chris Elliott. She pulls away and he just has gobs of lipstick on his eye. He takes out a handkerchief and he's just like peeling it off.
He got like punched in the eye. He's like, oh.
Let's have some coffee, Black, huh?
Coming right up.
It seems like making coffee is her main job. Chris Elliott steps in front of a huge sun lamp.
I'm only going to do a couple of minutes today, Peg. I don't want my clients thinking I'm on vacation all the time.
He's got his eyes closed and Peg brings over the coffee and he's just like blindly groping at the air, trying to find the mug. He's just talking about No Brain.
Boy, that no brain knocks me out. You know, we went to school together, grew up together, saved my life a couple of times.
Yeah.
That's why I like to throw him a quarter whenever I get one.
And that leads to this amazing line from Peggy.
Oh, Chris, you really shouldn't give money to street musicians. It only encourages them.
No Brain shows up. He's dragging along his huge upright bass, and he shows Chris a newspaper. The headline reads, "Police baffled by third slaying." No Brain is saying,
They were all jazz musicians, man, and they were my friends.
Jazz musicians?
Don't you understand? Some nut is killing off jazz musicians. Some kind of spree or some kind of kick. I don't know, but I'm scared.
Then we get this amazing line from Chris.
Yeah. You don't have a squirrel in your purse, do you, No Brain?
Drugs? No, man, I'm clean.
Weird slang for drugs.
But I liked it.
I'm definitely adding that to my vocabulary.
I'm going to start using that.
Squirrel in your purse.
You got a squirrel in your purse?
I think it's just one of those great Chris Elliott-isms.
Yeah, just complete nonsense.
No Brain's legitimately afraid for his life and the lives of others, which is immediately brushed off.
Chris tells No Brain that he charges $800 a day, and No Brain asks,
How much is that in quarters?
For the record, that's 3,200 quarters.
Did you do that on the fly?
No.
He took days and lots of quarters. It was a mess.
So Chris dismisses No Brain, escorts him out of his office, and he sits back down at his desk.
You believe that guy? Jazz musicians. What a paranoid nut.
Not even half a beat later, you hear screaming and shots fired in the street. I loved how quick that transition was, too. Like, he's mid-sentence calling out No Brain for his paranoid tendencies, and you hear the murder.
For that, there is that pretty well-timed spit gag as well, which I liked.
Well, why come to me?
Because you're my best friend.
Even though he just kind of said they were friends a minute ago.
No Brain is lying on the sidewalk inside of the now hollowed out base.
Yeah, it's like a very Hannibal from the Hannibal TV show style murder.
That's right.
Just stuffing him in his base. This is my design. I'm going to put this man's ass inside his base.
Chris runs outside and kneels down by No Brain's lifeless body just in time to see a dark figure running away. He picks up an earring next to the body and examines it. And then he grabs No Brain's head and he's just like squeezing his like face and he's screaming,
No,
and we fade to red. Then we see a car pulling into a driveway in front of our house. Chris gets out and it's raining and he says,
Oh, damn this LA rain.
Oh yeah, that was the callback to earlier where he said, damn this LA heat.
Yeah.
Just complaining about the weather at every turn.
As soon as he walks in the door, the camera changes from film to video and we have the laugh track. And then he steps back outside and it's back to the film stop and he picks up a newspaper and then he walks back in and it's video. So you get this like flip back and forth really quick. When we're in action, it's film, and when we're in family mode, it's video. This little bit here is pretty brilliant. Not only establishes the dynamic that is played the rest of the show, and not subtly, it hits you over the head with it. It's like a joke in its own right, you know, that we're doing this.
Yeah, I liked that. It was like he was going back outside to get the newspaper just to reassure that that was in fact happening.
Chris goes in and you get the audience applauding. He takes off his wig and his plaid jacket and hangs them up. And we briefly meet the two children who run in and hug him. Then he tells his daughter,
Princess, it's your turn to clean Daddy's gun.
which he unholsters and gives to her. And then gives his pipe to his son who like holds it out by the stem like it's a dead rat and walks out of the scene.
This is where that really interesting commentary comes in that is fucking bizarre, and I thought it was like overdubbed. Like I thought someone had like added it in.
That damn pipe takes up more space.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I had to rewind that as well because I was curious if it was like a bad VHS transfer or something, and someone had somehow talked over it there.
Right?
I thought it was like the audience, and they're two male voices, and they're commenting on what's happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Oh, that pipe takes up so much of every scene.
Yeah, but it's like you can barely hear it. I only actually heard what he said when I watched it again with headphones on, and then I heard more of those voices. But like when you're watching it just regular, like it just sounds obscure and weird.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't get that, and it only happens in a few moments. So you're like, what the fuck is that?
And it only happens once. It never happens again for the rest of the show.
No, there's a couple other
It
ones.
happens a couple more times. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens at the dinner table as well, I believe.
I heard it more over headphones, but like you can hear them commenting.
Yeah, there were a couple other times where
It's not part of the audience. It's like over it.
I didn't think it was even part of the show when I first heard it.
Yeah, I was like looking around the room like, who the fuck else is here? I didn't know where it was coming from.
I knew it was part of the show because there are a couple other times where you can hear like one audience member who's laughing intensely. Like over laughing.
A lot of the audience sound effects it's clearly recognizable, like stuff that everybody uses, like you can pick it out. Because like I have a real sensitive ear, and when I hear a sound effect that I've heard before, it takes me out like every time.
Stuart sits around listening to Hollywood sound effect and Halloween records.
We have done that before. Yeah.
Hell, if you listen to this podcast, I could pick out a couple of just like generic guy laughing.
Yeah.
I think that was a joke.
Oh, absolutely.
We're just putting that generic sound in there.
It's like a commentary on the ridiculous laugh tracks of sitcoms.
Later in the show, those same voices go like, yeah, like really ridiculous things.
Oh, you definitely cut out when you did that.
That's probably for the best.
I bet it still recorded it.
Chris Elliot puts on a Cosby sweater, which he is normally wearing that in the family scenes. He takes off the wig and puts on the sweater. He calls out for his wife.
Where's your mom? And what's burning?
Then we meet Shirley. This was really interesting. Shirley is Beth Holland. And although she may look familiar, she has almost no credits to her name other than an appearance on The Late Show with Chris Elliott when he was playing Marv Albert. She played Mrs. Marv Albert.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's such a late 80s character to play, Marv Albert's wife. You're not going to see that now. No one's dipping back into their Marv Albert bags.
I might.
You're going to go back to the biting incident?
Oh, of course. I'm in my Marv Albert era, and by that I mean biting prostitutes.
I felt like I recognized her from other shows being a grandma or a mom, but maybe it was someone else.
She did look very familiar.
Yeah, she looks very familiar.
And she's good in this, I think.
Oh, she's great.
She's sitcom good for sure. She should have been on a sitcom.
Her other credit on IMDb is from some bizarre passion project called The Wizard of Speed and Time.
Before Superman, before Rambo, before Pee Wee Herman, there was the Wizard of Speed and Time. An eccentric genius who created a motion picture legend in his own garage. Filmed around the world in a special process that is technically unexplainable.
Oh, fuck, that sounds really familiar.
And she is one of 15 actors credited as Running Girl. I don't think it's right. I think this is another Mary Holland. You know how IMDb just kind of like rams information together and generates it?
Yeah.
They were saying that she was actually a lot younger than Chris Elliott. It doesn't make any sense because she's clearly at least 25 years older than Chris Elliott.
That could also be from bad plastic surgery.
She's carrying a casserole dish with something burned in it, and Chris is like, what happened? And she says,
I follow the directions. I cooked it for 325 hours at 3.5 degrees.
Pretty good.
Which sets up the running gag that Shirley flips numbers to hilarious results.
She's just generally ditzy.
It's like a commentary on how sitcom humor is always based on silly misunderstandings.
Yeah.
You're right. I think it's a lot about just the silly mix-up that causes a silly situation that has to be rectified in 26 minutes or whatever it is.
A silly social misunderstanding that could have been wrapped up if everybody just talked about their feelings.
Also, wouldn't that roast just be frozen?
Brienne's our food expert.
Yeah, that literally doesn't make any sense. It bugged me. It did bug me.
What's the lowest you could set an oven?
Probably 200 degrees.
The family sits down to eat dinner, and Chris Elliot is calling for the oldest daughter to come downstairs.
Melissa, let's go.
No, go easy on her, Chris. Melissa's going through a tough stage. Our little girl is turning into a young woman.
Yeah. I know all about little girls turning into young with... Whoa.
And this is when we get probably the most disturbing thing that happens in the whole show.
Oh, yeah, it's very weird.
I mean, besides the murders, but yeah.
Melissa, who's the teenage daughter, comes downstairs completely naked, except for black censor bars.
Yeah. And his reaction to that, at first, I thought was going a completely different direction than it goes.
This could have gone in so many directions. I want to point out, for a comedy from 1986, the amount of problematic jokes is practically zero, other than a couple of random comments absurd on their face. It's weird, it's absurd, but she's not like sexualized or anything. It's just an absurd situation.
Yeah.
It's taking that boring old chestnut of, oh, the teenage daughter is wearing a mini skirt, and just takes it to the extreme. Like, when I first saw that scene, I was like, oh, geez, what are we doing here? Like, I didn't really know where it was going, but it ends up being like completely innocent. They address it, but it is purely for the absurdism, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
It is shocking. And the little brother is like, that's fucking gross, essentially. And the mother's like, she's going through a phase, and dad's just rolling his eyes. And it's just funny because they're having the exact same reaction to if she was wearing like a tube top or something.
Yeah.
She reveals that, well, my boyfriend thinks I'm sexy when I look like this.
Zach thinks it's sexy.
Which is hilarious.
I forgot about that.
You forgot about this?
No, just the my boyfriend thinks I'm sexy line.
When I'm naked.
Okay. This actress is Gina Martin. I double checked. That's what's listed in the credits of this show. But again, I don't think IMDb is right. The Gina Martin they've got listed is 4 years older than Chris Elliot.
Huh.
I think that the IMDb page for this show is kind of screwed up.
Bezos, fix your shit. Come on, man.
Get it together.
Spending all your time in space.
Also, the son in this was Seth Green.
Yeah.
And when I realized this, I yelled, I knew it so loud that it actually scared Stuart. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it
But
did startle me.
they only showed him a couple times, and I'm like, isn't it? Because it's 86, and it is. It's Seth Green as a child.
I think they specifically chose him for his red hair because they wanted a kid that looked like Danny Bottaducci.
Oh. Dubious. But
Had he done anything else? Because wasn't he in a few things around that age?
Seth Green? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kind of...
He was a prolific child actor, I believe. So Seth Green, by the way, has over 200 credits to his name.
Somehow not that surprising.
Not when you've been working since you were, 7 years old. His first role is 1984 in The Hotel, New Hampshire, where he plays the character Egg.
he was born in 74, so he would have been 12.
Oh, wow. So he was a lot.
He's a runt, man. He's super tiny.
Okay, so at the end, he gives Melissa a pretty big hug, and I was wondering about that.
That is an awkward hug at the end. It doesn't seem like it was part of the show.
No, it doesn't.
There's another part in the open mouth kiss scene. He's also kind of weirdly in the way.
Yeah.
I think he missed his mark, and he's like standing in the middle of them, and it almost looks like Chris Elliot puts his hand like kind of in between or something like that for a second. And I was just wondering, like, maybe they just didn't feel like reshooting it.
I thought that was going to be a joke, like he gets like squished in between them in their passionate love or whatever, but like no, he's just kind of awkwardly standing there and it doesn't go anywhere, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
When Melissa announces that she is going out dressed, in quotations, like she is, Chris Elliot says,
Now, wait a second. Hold the phone, young lady. You plan on going out on a date dressed like Lady Godiva?
It was funny.
And we learn about her new boyfriend.
His name is Zach, and we didn't meet him. I met him at a prison dance.
Oh, at a prison dance?
Zach's on parole. Isn't that exciting?
Whom she met at a prison dance, whatever the hell a prison dance is.
That got me so bad.
It was the way the mom said it too. Like, she met at a prison dance. Like, isn't that adorable?
Prison dance? What in the heck tarnation is going on here? Have we all gone bonkers?
This show may have been the inspiration for the HBO series Oz.
So Shirley says, let's change the subject. And Melissa says,
Talk about Dumbo's biology test.
Biology test? Oh, Danny, did you fail another test?
I can't understand what's going on in all my classes.
and this is where we learn that Danny is failing school because he can't understand what's going on in his classes.
Now, young man, I think maybe you're spending a little too much time with that electric guitar of yours.
That damn electric guitar.
And then someone says, where's Grandpa? And we meet Grandpa, who is in fact a disembodied toilet flush.
After I heard that, I had to look it up and see if this was before or after the premiere of Married with Children.
Yeah.
Al, let's have sex.
No pig.
So we hear screaming, like a yee-haw from outside.
Zach, now, Daddy, please be nice.
And Melissa announces that Zach must be here and implores Chris Elliot to be nice.
Well, young lady, I'll strike a bargain with you. If you throw something on and cover up, I'll think about it.
So she walks offset and comes back wearing like a sheet wrapped around her. And she is with a very large man dressed kind of like a biker. And they just like immediately start open mouth kissing in front of the dinner table, right in front of the kids and everybody.
That guy reminded me of the bad guy from Tango and Cash with the chin.
Robert
Zadar.
Zadar, yeah.
Oh, man. What knowledge.
I wish they got Robert Zadar for this.
That'd be amazing.
That would be a perfect Robert Zadar role.
Robert Zadar sadly passed away a couple of years ago.
He won't be in our sequel to Tango and Cash.
To Tango v Cash.
He's in our piloting era pantheon of gods.
Truly.
So this is really important. Chris Elliot notes that Zach is wearing a feather earring just like the one that he found on No Brain's body from earlier.
And let me compliment you on your choice of jewelry.
To which Zach compliments Chris on his daughter, and we get this amazing line.
You know, stirring fudge in the slammer for 10 years really makes you appreciate real chicks.
God damn. Stirring fudge.
I thought he was describing what his job was in prison. My first thought was, what a good job to land when you're in prison.
They get fucking fudge in prison?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, of all the prison jobs you could have, making fudge is probably the most fun.
I can just imagine like the little prisoners in elf costumes moving through the prison fudge factory.
We're boycotting EL fudge because they use prison labor.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like Bass Pro Shops guys putting their flavored fudge for the people, $14 a pound.
God,
no one makes fudge like prison fudge packers.
But it turns out I was wrong. That was a dirty joke. What are you going to do?
You may actually be right. That might be exactly what he's referring to. Is a prison labor fudge factory. I wouldn't be crazy. Shirley looks at Chris and says,
What a nice thing to say.
It's good to be appreciated in the moment.
They leave saying they're going to Zach's photography club and Melissa is going to model and it's trapeze night. And Chris looks at Shirley and says,
She's your daughter.
So does that mean that the mom was a trapezist or something? Or that she had posed for photography clubs?
Or both.
Which, look up the history of photography clubs. It's kind of fucked up.
Oh, is that a real thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All those Betty Page photos.
Oh.
They're all from these photo clubs where like horny men would like hire young women to come and pose for them.
I didn't know that.
And then, you know, whatever happens, happens, I guess.
Betty Page is actually a pretty fascinating person.
Really? Did she make money off the photos of her somehow?
Yeah, like she kind of innovated that.
Wow.
Like she was an entrepreneur. Really smart.
That's very cool.
Business person.
Glad someone...
I don't remember this exactly, so I don't want to say anything incorrect. But that's what I remember.
Say the incorrect thing, Stuart.
So then we get a short sequence where Chris Elliott is laying over the knee of Abraham Lincoln, who is spanking him and begging the president to stop.
Why are you doing this to me, Mr. President? I didn't do anything.
Why are you doing this?
So I have a theory that if this had gone to series or whatever, that would have been like a recurring storyline and eventually would have had some sort of resolution. Because it's just so out there.
Oh, it's like the most bizarre thing. And they hired someone specifically to play Abraham Lincoln. It turns out this is a nightmare. And he shoots up in bed, screaming, and Shirley comforts him.
Wake up, honey, you're dreaming.
Oh my God, what a dream.
Then Chris says, totally unprompted,
That's it. I do not want Melissa seeing this Zach boy anymore.
pulls out the feather earring and he's got it like in his pajama pocket. And then he grabs wig, which is sitting on a styrofoam head on his nightstand, and looks at Shirley and says,
It's time for me to go to work.
there's like raucous applause from the audience.
It's like The Mask, but it's the wig.
We cut to a montage of Chris Elliott out on the street interrogating people about the earring. We got the bass music going, and he's showing it to people.
He's in the mall.
Yeah, he's cruising the mall for answers.
Starts out as an investigation that slowly devolves into him just shopping at the mall.
Yeah. Buy a nice Hawaiian shirt.
He's like trying on Hawaiian shirts, trying on shoes, ski boots, and he's buying a croissant. He like shows it to the girl and then he bites into it determinedly. I kind of got the feeling that it was like action, but it was also kind of devolving into family. Like dad going to the mall to buy socks.
I just thought it was like a joke on the whole like I'm doing police stuff montage.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because like as soon as he walks into the mall, like it just starts to degrade into shopping. I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah, I've had many an investigation end up at the mall.
You know, you go to do investigation, you end up in Macy's, you walk out with a bunch of shopping bags. We all do it.
This montage ends with him going to the police station and sitting on the police chief's desk trying on new socks.
They're like tights though. They're like sexy. Like he pulls them all the way up to his knee and he's got his leg outstretched on his boss's desk.
Very gentlemanly socks he has.
Yeah.
Nice stockings.
Over the calf socks are by far the most comfortable.
The chief says that he thinks Chris Elliott is wrong about the case. And we get this amazing exchange where Chris Elliott says,
In the hundreds of times I've come to you with hunches, have I ever been wrong once?
No. But this time I really think you're wrong.
So the police chief says that Chris Elliott needs to bring him some proof. I mean, it makes sense. Like, he's like, I need some solid proof.
You get me, mister?
Oh yeah, I get you. I'm the big monkey, huh? I'm the big chimpanzee. I'm the ape boy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, sort of.
You'll never make what?
That was very Chris Elliott. And then he turns around disgusted and says, "You make me sick." At that moment, I felt like he could have just made that whole show around that moment. He wanted to say, "You make me sick" so bad. Really put heart into it. And it was so ridiculous. And I loved it.
Could have called the show, "You Make Me Sick."
You make me sick.
Chris Elliott leaves, and the chief grabs one of the desk workers sitting there, and he says, "Better be safe. Run a background check on this Zach guy."
Which there's no last name, by the way. It's literally just Zach.
So now we get a really just mind-blowing scene where Shirley, the wife, calls Peggy the secretary, and there's like a split screen where Shirley in the family world is on one side of the screen and Peggy in the action world is on the other side of the screen, and they're using the two different cameras for both sides. And Shirley has a laugh track, and Peggy comments on the laugh track.
Look, is there a party going on over there?
Who gave you that idea?
So Shirley is calling to tell Peggy to remind Chris Elliott that they have a meeting with Danny's teacher.
Mrs. Diaz at 2:30 in room 315. Or is it 315 in room 230?
Shirley really needs to get like a notebook or like some post-it notes. And now we come to what may be the funniest scene Brianna's ever seen.
I legit couldn't breathe, and this was probably the reason why I made Stuart watch it again right after the first time we watched it, because it just made me laugh so hard. The chemistry between Chris Elliott and his dad in this scene is just like really great, and
Insane.
the way Chris Elliott's dad acts is like sometimes you think he's just like a dad that's not in on the joke. Like he's acting that awkward. He's not acting like he knows what he's doing. Like maybe he doesn't get what's happening or why it's funny, but like that's him. He's doing a good job. Chris Elliott is still trying to get information about this Zach character, and just like all good police shows, it would appear that he's going to interrogate this hot dog vendor on the street.
Give me one with just ketchup. One with just ketchup. Yes, sir.
That's the vibe you get.
Mhm.
He's ordering a hot dog, but really maybe he's gonna like rough him up or ask him some information or something. They start to play this little cat and mouse game.
Is something wrong, sir? Wrong? Oh, no. There's nothing wrong. Nothing at all. You go about your business.
But really all they're talking about is literally a hot dog. So like they're kind of going back and forth, and dad drops the hot dog and
What's going wrong here? I've never had so much trouble with a hot dog in my life. Maybe it's the humidity.
slaps the back of his neck like a mosquito bit him. Like it just doesn't make any sense at all. And Chris Elliott's just playing it so cool. Like he's trying to make this guy break, but really all he's doing is buying a fucking hot dog. He goes,
he drops the hot dog and he's like,
fork and all. Yeah, fork and all.
I don't know what's wrong with me. And Chris Elliott's like, yeah, just give me the hot dog. So he gives him the hot dog, and Chris Elliott's inspecting it.
Well, it's a perfect hot dog. Well cooked, neatly placed on a fresh buttermilk bun with just the right amount of yellow mustard spread evenly from end to end. Yeah. There's only one problem. I think I asked for ketchup, not your stinking mustard.
And he crumples up the hot dog into his fist and then uses that fist to punch the hot dog vendor in the face. And it was so funny. I like doubled over, and I actually had like an asthma attack because I laughed so hard. I've never before seen a hot dog crumpled up and used to punch somebody in the face.
Oh, maybe I could fix it up. I think it's too late for that. How about this?
Now, obviously, this escalates into a brawl where the actor that's playing the hot dog vendor,
Bob Elliott.
Yeah, he magically becomes like a stunt double who is like not the same like age, size, or anything. Like very obvious that's a stunt double. They're throwing each other over cars. It's hilarious and amazing. And eventually it settles down and...
You're insane, mister. I got no problem with you. It was a mistake. You ain't supposed to make mistakes, old man. But we all make mistakes. Well, I guess you're right. You don't have a cigarette.
And as soon as he asks that, his dad just hits him over the head with a chair. It is so good. And he just runs away with the hot dog cart. He's making his way down the street. And Chris Elliott's shooting at him with a gun and just can't seem to hit him. To the point where he's actually closing his eyes and just shooting. But that
they like hold on Bob Elliott or whoever pushing that hot dog car for so long. It's like
all the way down.
It's like the end of the third man. He just goes on and on and on.
Damn it. Oh, it's so genius.
Back and forth between them. They drag the scene out, and it's so awkward and amazing.
All of the lines that Bob Elliott delivers in that scene are just played so straight.
Yes.
The way he says we all make mistakes is so sincere. You think it might come to like a positive conclusion right before then. And then he gets chaired. And
it's so good.
Hits him with a chair. And he's just standing on the street. Like he just pulls this wooden chair out of nowhere.
It must be such a dream to film a fucking fight scene with your dad.
Right?
So much fun.
I'm wondering if it would still have that same energy, like if I didn't know that was Chris Elliott's dad.
Right.
Like just knowing that they have that relationship already and like seeing them interact, there was just like an energy there.
Yeah.
It was just absurd.
So Chris Elliott's car phone rings. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to be ridiculous. I didn't bother to look up what the prevalence of car phones was.
Okay, no, that's ridiculous.
It doesn't look like a car phone.
It's a regular phone receiver. Car phones were not that prevalent, and they were ludicrously expensive.
And they didn't have like a regular receiver.
No, they were like...
It looked like he was picking up like a rotary phone like receiver.
Yeah.
Chris, Peggy, your wife called. You know you're supposed to meet with Danny's teacher at 2:30?
Damn. Then we get this great line.
Well, I ran a check on that Zach like you asked. You know, it would help if you had a last name.
It can't help you.
We get a funky driving montage, and at a stoplight, we get the obligatory David Letterman cameo.
Oh, God. This absolutely fucking killed me. This is one of the funniest things that I've seen anything that we watched. David Letterman is one of the funniest people, like naturally funny, that has ever fucking lived. And he just delivers just like talking to him like there's not even a show going on. And it's fucking insanely perfect.
Just pulls up and says, "Hey, jerk."
Yeah, he's like, hey, jerk.
Hey, jerk. Oh, God, this is embarrassing.
He comes into this scene like a bully, and I love that. And Chris Elliott is just, oh, God, this is so embarrassing.
And you know that this is like their real life dynamic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This and his cameo in Cabin Boy.
You know what you are? You're one of those little fancy lads, aren't you? Boy, you're cute. Gosh, what a sweet little outfit. Is it your little spring outfit? You couldn't be cuter. You're so adorable. Oh, my. You know, you remind me of my niece, Sally. Lovely girl. She's a dietitian. Hey, would you like to buy a monkey?
Those are just regular interactions.
Yes. When Chris Elliott is on the David Letterman doing the guy under the stairs, how they interact that way, like it's very similar to that, where Chris Elliott is like rolling his eyes at him and really annoyed that he has to interact.
Yes. He has to put up with David Letterman asking him questions.
This is how Letterman reacted when Chris Elliott told him he was going to go do this thing for Cinemax, and then he just transferred what he told him in his office into the script, and then had him drive over and film it for 5 minutes in his very cool Grand Wagoneer, and then pull off, and there he goes.
I mean, for all we know, he had like a whole bit part written out for him.
Yeah.
And Letterman just decided, fuck your script. This is what I'm doing.
He wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He just actually drove into the movie just to make fun of him and then drove off.
He just popped on set.
They're like, shit, that wasn't supposed to happen.
David Letterman doesn't just show up in movies for anybody.
No.
He really likes Chris Elliott in order to do this.
They made it look very natural, and it was hilarious.
But also, what he says is,
Wasn't that your dad I saw back there? Yeah, it was. He's doing a little cameo in it. Which one is he, Bob or Ray? I can never keep those two guys straight. I can't either. I think it's Bob, David.
Neither can I.
Yeah, neither can I, Bob, I think.
It's this incredible like deconstruction of what's going on up till this point, and it demolishes the fourth wall. So Dave drives away, and we cut to a classroom. We're in family mode all of a sudden, and we meet Mrs. Diaz, who's a fairly prolific actor, Antonia Ray, who has 73 acting credits and was working right up to her death in 2019 at 92.
Dang.
Oh my God.
Real working actress.
Did you say actress?
Actress.
Actoress.
Well, I go back and forth. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I don't want to say actress. Like, I feel like everybody's an actor. What do you guys take on that? Do you say actor or actress, or does it matter?
I think I kind of go all over the place. Yeah.
I say actress, but I feel like if you're more movie nerdy, you call everybody an actor.
Okay.
That's true.
Do you lean into the O really bad?
Actor. Yeah, you say actor.
Yeah.
You say it like Jay Sherman from The Critic?
Yes.
The theater.
You say it like James Lipton. God's gift to the silver screen.
This is another just amazing sequence. Chris Elliott, Shirley, and Danny are sitting in school desks facing Miss Diaz, and Shirley says,
Danny's always been a very good student, and we really can't understand why he's suddenly failing all his courses.
Honey, let me handle this. Mrs. Diaz, Danny has always been a very good student, and we really can't understand why he's suddenly failing all his courses.
That seems like just a Chris Elliott like standard bit.
So not only that, the audience, you hear the laugh track starts laughing harder and harder and harder to the point where you cannot hear the dialogue. And they are laughing so hard that all of the actors and actresses, everyone gets up and they walk to the front of the set and they face the camera and they bow and blow kisses and someone throws flowers. And this ovation continues so long that Chris Elliott has to coax the audience to stop so they can finish the scene.
Thank you all so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your generous response. However, we are on a schedule, so if you could please quiet down so we could return to the scene, we'd appreciate that too. Thanks very much once again.
I just thought it was so great that they picked this joke out of all the jokes, because I feel like they could have done this with a lot of the scenes in the family part of the show,
Mhm.
because it was such an eye roll joke that had already been done to death even by 1986. It was a remark on like the sexism. Let a man say exactly what you said, and that was the best joke that everybody had to bow for and literally stop the show. And it was just such a terrible joke.
Yeah, I agree. Literally.
This is what the base sitcom audience wants and thinks is funny. They're calling out people for laughing at fucking mansplaining jokes.
Is this fourth wall breaking? This
Oh,
has got to
yeah.
be pretty
Yeah.
uncommon at this point. This has got to be pretty
Yeah,
inventive
yeah.
for that.
Maybe in a sitcom this might happen, but it wouldn't actually go into the show. It's like something that would happen behind the scenes. Like they're laughing so hard that they have to calm the audience. Maybe on the set of Cheers or something.
I also love that they received flowers from the audience while they're bowing.
Oh, God.
Chris Elliott loves getting flowers.
He loves getting bouquets.
A bouquet is kind of inherently funny
That's
if
true.
you hold it right. Cradling it like a baby, that's very funny.
You did such a good job. You deserve a bouquet of flowers.
It made more sense when the U.S. economy ran exclusively on bouquets of flowers.
So we go back to the scene of teacher-parent conference. And it goes on for a while, but the joke is that
This is Spanish-speaking grammar school. And I'm Spanish. It's elementary at best.
the overarching joke is that Shirley got the location of the bus stop flipped, and Danny ended up in this school instead of the English-speaking school, where the bus is on the other corner.
The bus being the fucking impetus of that mistake is pretty damn funny to me.
They went this long without knowing that this is a Spanish-speaking school.
I didn't know he could speak any Spanish at all.
Miss Diaz leaves the class, and she says, "Bye, Danny," and he goes,
El conquistador, Senor Diaz.
El Conquistadores.
Conquistadores, Senor Diaz.
Senora Diaz.
"What?" Like, what is?
I don't
what is he
know. I've
saying?
never heard El Conquistador or whatever.
She just kind of like makes a face at him and continues.
God damn.
Danny, Chris Elliott, and Shirley walk outside, and we are back into action, like immediately turning into this really dysfunctional family.
My hair on
Oh, your hair is fine.
Boy, I'm glad I didn't have to get rough with the old broad.
Rough with the old broad. That's your answer for everything, isn't it?
You shut your mouth.
No, I won't shut my mouth. Not this time. You don't understand. You don't know the pressures I have to deal with. Never knowing if you're coming home at night or if you're coming home with a bullet in your head. I can't take it. I can't take it.
Come on, it's okay. Look, I'm sorry. It's just that I get a little crazy sometimes. I'm sorry, baby. I love you. Come here.
Beth Holland here is just acting her face off. And Chris grabs her. They go in for another amazing open face kiss.
God.
And I have to say, she's really good. And I feel like as an actor, this is a phenomenal part because you get to do both like this ridiculous drama and this amazing comedy.
Yeah.
And she really sells it. I'd like to nominate Beth Holland for MVP of this pilot.
Wow. Absolutely. Her acting changed so dramatically from one scene to the next. Her voice even like deepened when she's doing this dramatic scene. I don't know if you're ever going to come home or with a bullet in your head, or it is very dramatic. And that's when you're like, oh yeah, right. This is supposed to be like a 70s crime show too. I kind of forgot for a second.
It's very noir.
I just find it so hard to believe that she had no previous acting experience
Mrs. Marv Albert?
other than as Mrs. Marv Albert. It's a shame she's in nothing else.
I just have to say that right now on my TV, the Alien Baby episode of Get a Life is
The
playing.
one with Spewy?
Yeah, Spewy.
Spewy!
Never seen an episode. I need to watch.
Spewy shows his love by punching and throwing up.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
It's a great show. You'd love it.
By the way, Get a Life, it's all up on YouTube too.
It is, but the quality is not very good.
No, it's taped off TV. But whatever.
Sometimes I want just a little bit better quality. I mean,
I feel you.
if something's been released on DVD, it's worth it.
Chris Elliott's car phone rings, and it's the police chief.
Chris, it's Blocker. I ran a check on this Zach character. Rap sheet a mile long.
Which isn't a surprise because
he was in prison.
And we get the great line where Chris says,
Then I was right.
Yeah, but next time you'll be wrong. I can feel it.
They all go home, and Melissa and Zach are making out on the couch in the dark.
Hi, kids. We're home early.
The youngest daughter is standing on the stairs watching them. It's super weird and creepy.
I only caught that the second time, and it really, I was like, oh my God.
Chris Elliot and Shirley walk in and they turn on the light. And it should be noted at this point, Melissa looks like a member of like a crazy cult or an alien. So she has her head shaved and has a snake tattooed on the side of it. And she's wearing a black hooded cloak of some kind.
Yeah.
She's definitely wearing like the Church of Satan get up or something like that.
And she looks like Alien Nation.
It was like distracting because it was definitely like trying to cover the bottom of her bald cap, and they had adhered the hood of the outfit to like the back of her skull.
Oh,
Did you guys
really?
notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
She had like limited range of movement, like when she turned her head, because the hoodie was like stuck to the back of her head. And that's all I could think about the whole scene. Every time she moves, she's kind of like moving her whole body. So it's like she doesn't have to like whip her head around.
Ah.
Obviously, it stands out because she's suddenly fucking bald with a giant snake on her head.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that got me looking.
They should have just shaved her head and tattooed an actual snake on her skull.
Right? I would have.
People just don't commit to the role anymore.
There's no more method acting, man.
Again, this might have been her only role. If IMDb's right, she should have committed a little harder.
There comes a time in a father's life where he has to take control of the household.
And that time will come one day soon, dear. But right now, let me handle this. Melissa, you cannot see this man anymore. N-O.
When everybody's cheering for the mother, because, you know, she's stepping in and saying, well, I'll handle this. You kind of expect like this big monologue because like typically in family shows, like that's what would happen. And she
Yeah.
literally just says N-O. And you're like, oh. I guess that's the joke. Her big moment was literally just spelling out the word no, and then she steps aside. All right.
Maybe she was trying to actually spell on.
Yeah.
But the letters flipped.
Huh.
Chris holds up the feather earring and he's like, why don't we let Zach tell us why?
I got an earring just like mine. Hey, Melissa, maybe that's the one you lost. Sure, Melissa bought the earrings when we first started hanging together. She kept one and gave the other to me as a token of our affection. Then the other day, you lost yours.
Right about the time No Brain bought it.
This genuinely caught me by surprise that she was the jazz musician Slayer. I was not ready for it. I thought it was going to be right down the middle.
She was the put a hole in a man.
The person that ties this all together for us.
Oh, yeah.
Just all of a sudden, there's an elderly British woman sitting on the couch who says,
Well, then, to me, it's quite obvious. Melissa is the killer.
and then she points off screen, and we cut back, and everyone is looking around.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to figure out where that came from.
That was-
And what I really love is that they are like looking up at the ceiling, they're looking at the floor, they're looking under the table.
Comically looking around, yeah.
By the way, this woman is Lucy Landau.
Wow, Martin Landau's mom.
Is it really? No, it's not.
No, I have no idea.
How many Landaus can there be?
None now since they all died.
Well, yeah, this
Oh,
was
no.
her last role.
Oh,
Way to bring it down, Joe.
shit.
Sorry.
Is that true?
Well, I had to do something. Nobody around here pays any attention to me. You're always so busy with your investigating, and Mom takes all those cooking classes, and everybody's concerned about Danny's grades and Grandpa.
Toilet flush.
Grandpa with his toilet flushes. No one has any time for me.
I had to waste a few people. Well, think about me. I got problems too, you know. What about me? You didn't even notice that I shaved my head.
This was also during a time where anti-jazz sentiment was at an all-time high.
What is it?
What?
Everybody hated jazz in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
Just no proof of any of this.
I love it. No. Yes.
All right.
Anything to back that up? No. Just, I accept it. I accept it as a fact.
Not at all.
Name one 80s jazz record. Go.
Can't do it.
Time's up.
Oh, time's
Oh,
up.
there you go.
That's yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that the grandpa would have just been played by a toilet if they had made another episode?
Oh my
In
god.
the animated version.
They were showing the characters. They would just show a toilet for and Grandpa.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh, they could just also show a closed bathroom door.
Yeah.
Sound of flushing.
Sugar, your mother and I, well, we just thought you'd grow out of this little phase you're going through.
It is not a face! Don't you understand? This is me. This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
I think we'll take it.
Oh.
Chris says, one question. Why kill jazz musicians? And Melissa replies,
Jazz musicians? I was just killing people at random. I didn't know they were jazz musicians.
and they all laugh.
Very good.
Then they're all like, well, we still have these murders, and that is against the law. And Melissa says,
Zach's an ex-con.
this is pretty funny.
This is my favorite part
Me
because
too.
the little kids get so amped up.
Yeah, I think it's her only line.
Hey, Dad, let's kill him!
They're essentially egging Chris Elliot on to shoot Zach
Murder.
and kill him.
Come on, Dad. You can blow his brains out.
The son hands him his gun, and Chris Elliot's kind of bashful. I don't know. Oh, come on, Dad.
It's so genius.
Wait a second, I got rights. This is a setup.
I'm sorry, pal. I've got my family to think about now. This one's for no brain.
And Chris just shoots him. We cut to outside, and we're like in action. And we see Zach's body
Fling through the window.
like it's Die Hard. Glass raining.
It's exactly like, is it Danger 5 or Danger 6? That like fake old-timey British spy show where they're hunting Hitler. At the end of every episode, Hitler escapes by diving through a window. This reminded me of that.
Like, you have one job. Don't let Hitler go.
Have you watched that, Dominic? I feel like I would have made you watch it at some point.
I think you told me to watch it, but I did not do
Didn't
that.
wear him down yet.
He's unwear downable.
Just ask me a few more times.
The fact that he's on this podcast it's a tremendous representation of the love that we share.
Oh, wow.
That's actually true.
Did I wear him down for things?
We cut back inside, and we're back in family mode, and Chris gives us some line about how love will see them through.
And as long as Melissa doesn't go on another one of those murder sprees, okay, and you kiddos can manage to get on the right bus in the morning, well, I think maybe we'll be okay. Because you know what we've learned in the last couple of days here? We've learned that love will see us through.
I mean, that's essentially the end. There's like an epilogue scene where they're all dressed as the Partridge Family, and they're all lip syncing a Partridge Family song. I didn't really feel like there was a whole lot to say about it.
Oh, it was fucking phenomenal. It was so incredibly funny to me.
I liked how they played the whole song out for sure. Because normally with something like that, you'd get like 10 seconds and then they'd start rolling the credits and that'd be it. But it actually stuck with the shot for the entirety of the song, which I thought was pretty funny.
I was like waiting for a joke to come in at any point, and instead it was literally just 3 minutes and 50 seconds of like fucking Partridge Family, and you're like, oh, that is the joke.
Wait, so that was a Partridge Family reference?
Oh yeah, Partridge Family album.
Are you serious?
No, of course I'm serious. I've never watched that show. It seems like it would just depress me.
Awful. It's just the Brady Bunch, except
Yeah.
they're playing instruments. It's terrible. It's so bad.
I also greatly dislike Danny Bonaducci.
But you greatly appreciate David Cassidy.
No, I don't like him either. You're mistaking him with David Carradine.
Oh.
All the moves, all the feeling.
Who you're actually also mistaking for Keith Carradine.
It's awful.
I would mistake those two.
You're actually mistaking for Keith Emerson.
Oh, no.
Wait, from Emerson, Lake and Palmer? Oh.
Yeah, deep cut. I feel like this epilogue scene is the weakest part of the whole show. Like, this is the only part I didn't like. I wish that they had bothered to like compose an original song. If they had gotten somebody to do a song in the style of Partridge Family, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, it's just silly saccharine shit. So it fits, it works, but it's just a Partridge Family song. Like, you know, like why why don't you just do your own song?
Yeah, it could have been funnier, especially after the intro credits. That song was pretty fucking good. They could have started out as a regular Partridge Family song and then devolved into like an action ending. That would have been cool too. Or just made up their own like lyrics.
They could have been like fighting while they're like playing instruments or something, like the Aquabats or something.
I really liked that scene. I don't know why.
I did too, actually.
That was quite funny.
Yeah, I found it pretty funny and enjoyable.
It just felt to me like they were just trying to fill time, and it was just like an easy way.
Oh no, I think it was purposeful. I think that's like what Chris Elliott wanted to do. I think his vision is to just do the whole fucking song.
Did y'all watch the credits?
Yes. I wasn't sure who that was.
Credits are going by, and it's just stills from the show, but they interspersed it with stills from the credits from the original Star Trek.
Oh.
If you've seen Star Trek for years and syndication, like immediately you'd recognize it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the 3 or 4 most weird frames.
God, I did not notice that.
You didn't notice the alien guy?
No, I
It's kind of shuffled into all the stills.
I guess I'm just going to rewatch it for a fucking 10th time.
I think it'd be pretty hard to make the case that this show wasn't a success. He did another comedy experiment in 1987, which is also up on YouTube, and Brian and I sampled it.
Little Plowman
It was
sampler.
delicious.
It's FDR, a one-man show. And it is somehow even more far out.
Incredible.
More experimental. It pushes the limit.
I'm just glad to hear that Cinemax was still doing experimental comedy show 10 years later.
No, 1987.
Oh.
This was the next year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said 97.
I'm sorry. I should probably say that again because I probably did say that.
After that, they stopped
And
forever.
On 3, 2, 1, 1987.
Can you just patch Joe saying it? Every time Stuart messes up something, we'll just have Joe say it correctly, and then we'll just patch it in.
I'm going to get an even worse reputation for being a fucking annoying prick.
I'll just give you a list of words to say. You can just call and leave them on my voicemail.
We should start doing more skits on voicemail like a 1999 rap album.
So, Stuart, we're doing another episode this week, huh?
Entire rap album recorded from jail. Have you ever heard one of those?
On their breaks from the Fudge Factory?
They'll call someone up at a Supermax prison and pay collect, and they'll just rap over the phone and they'll record it and put out the song. I think that's amazing.
I'd like to hear it.
Stirring up the fudge and maximum security. Call that bitch Keebler.
Oh boy. I just didn't know this was a thing.
Jailhouse Rap, Lifers Group, X-Rayed, Mac Dre, The Diplomats, Shine, C Murder, Gucci Mane.
Oh, I love Gucci Mane so much. Gucci Mane, come on the show, please. I would love to talk to Gucci Mane.
Maybe he can settle the fudge stirring debate.
Jesus Christ.
Gucci Mane, come on the podcast. We have lots of ideas for rap songs. They all involve Chris Elliott.
We need you to come do the George Clinton episode. Come be our token black guy.
Cosmic Slop. Chris Elliott, he plays a version of himself playing Franklin Delano Roosevelt in a stage production about the president's life, with most of the details completely fabricated, to an audience of elderly people in cardboard cutouts. And Marv Albert gives the play-by-play of the whole thing from a box seat.
The real Marv Albert?
The real Marv Albert.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marv Albert, and I'm here in beautiful Irvington, New York, at the Irvington Town Hall Theater. Tonight, the main event. Chris Elliott stars in his acclaimed portrayal of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In FDR, a one-man show. Yes!
Wow. Was that before or after the Marv Albert?
That's before. That was in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
Whenever the one-man show gets boring, he starts announcing the high school basketball game that's playing next door.
Who eventually invade the show and end up on stage. There was another part that we really laughed at.
Yeah, it was just like a random stagehand dressed completely in black so he can move around furniture. But at one point he leans over to Chris Elliott and whispers, "The audience hates you." And I laughed so hard. They don't revisit it. They don't anything with it. Like, it's just a standalone stagehand. Chris Elliott doesn't even react to it. It's amazing.
It's just a thing that just happens.
That's brilliant.
You could make the case that Action Family is a TV pilot or could be expanded into something, but FDR, a one-man show, is a true auteur project. This is it, you know? Also, he actually mentions this concept in one time on Late Night.
Man Under the Stairs, yeah.
He comes out as FDR and like mentions FDR, the one-man show.
How did you decide that this time that President Roosevelt would come up from under the seats?
It's a one-man show.
Yeah, I know that, Chris, but doesn't it seem to be a little far-fetched that the 32nd President of the United States would be living under the seats here in the studio?
Far-fetched.
Well, yeah, you know, it's hard to believe, sort of.
You still don't understand what I'm trying to do here, do you?
Well, no, Chris, I think we understand.
You still don't see, do you?
No, Chris.
Or maybe you just don't choose to see.
No, Chris. Now, I don't think you're being fair
You know
here.
something, mister? One of these days, you're going to wake up in a cage with the rest of the monkeys. And I'm going to be your keeper.
Now, Chris, please settle down. We can't go on like
But
this.
until that glorious day, I'll be right here, making your life a living hell. Watching you send out fresh off to Europe, wherever the hell. I see you, babe. I see you.
All right. We'll be right back with Ellen.
I'm not sure if that happened before or after this, but it's definitely like related.
Yeah, I figured it was just like fleshed out. Like he just did a whole show based on that one bit, which was weird because all of the bits were really funny and I would not have picked that one to flesh out.
They were wild. Like a periscope would rise up out of the bleachers and then Dave would be like, what's going? And then like Chris Elliott would come up and he would say something like, you know, like, what do you know when all this fog will clear so we can get out of here? You know,
What?
Completely different. Every time he rose from the bowels of the under the seat, he would have a completely different character.
it's very like elaborate and really funny.
It was very formulaic though, because he would do his character, he would do his bit, and then once he was done, he would start to return underneath the seats.
He's like, I'm done.
David Letterman would be asking him questions, and he would be so annoyed every time that he would say something. He would try to just go back under the seats because he didn't want to have to deal with him.
Both Action Family and FDR, a one-man show, they were released on VHS in 1995.
If you have it, send it to Stuart.
Yeah, send it to us.
His address is 355 West Bank Road.
It's 123 Fake Street.
We're over here, 123 Fake Street. There's nothing going on.
There's never been a proper DVD release.
Unfortunate.
We'd love to see that happen. We want to see, you know, a re-release of Action Family and FDR, a one-man show with some Chris Elliott commentary tracks.
You know, maybe with our 250,000 downloads per episode, we can convince Chris Elliott to get those released on DVD for us.
The piloting error effect.
This is what true power is, boys.
We use it for good.
Not me.
What do you use it for?
Free crab dinner.
So Chris Elliott continued writing and appearing on David Letterman into the 90s, winning 4 consecutive Emmys for his writing. And then from 1990 to 1992, he did the cult classic and very influential, way ahead of its time sitcom Get a Life.
Incredible. 2 seasons was not enough for that show.
No, insanely innovative. Go watch it. But the Fox executives absolutely hated it, and they sabotaged it by moving it around in the schedule and killing the ratings. So then, 1994, Cabin Boy, another insanely innovative and funny movie that it only gets funnier with age.
Yeah.
He wrote and starred in Cabin Boy, and it was a massive, massive box office bomb, unfortunately. What happened was Tim Burton, who was a huge Get a Life fan, was signed on to direct, but then he abruptly left when he was offered Ed Wood.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it just sabotaged everything. Chris Elliott's career really never recovered from that. Ever since then, he's mostly been in like secondary characters, with the exception of Eagleheart on Adult Swim.
My career came to a screeching halt after
Really?
Cabin Boy. Outlook was grim. Adam and I went and we pitched a TV show for me after Cabin Boy, and they bought it in the room, which means they loved the idea. We got calls from our agents. They bought it. They love it. We're doing the pilot. And about 6 hours later, we both got these calls. There was one person who wasn't in the meeting, somebody higher up, and she had said, "Oh yeah, I love this idea. That's great. Who are the writers doing it?" And they said, "Chris Elliot and Adam Resnick." And she said, "No, not those guys. Not the Cabin Boy guys."
Fucking wild.
It's really unfortunate because Cabin Boy's really awesome.
Yeah, it really sucks that that the success or legacy of something is tied so directly to the amount of money that it makes 6 people.
It was also poorly reviewed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it even now holds a very high rating.
It's been a little while. I didn't watch it until maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I feel like.
It's very good.
It's the only movie that I've had a dream about based solely on the trailer.
I saw this as a kid. I remember it coming out.
No wonder you're so twisted.
I was really excited about it because it looks like, a fun fantasy movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid being really surprised when it was over. It never really seems like it gets going. It seems like it's going somewhere really epic, and then it just kind of fizzles a little bit. At least that's how I felt at the time. Now I think it's great. Like, I think that the Sharky guy,
Half man, half shark equals one complete gentleman.
It's a really, really good movie.
I think Joe would have watched that a lot earlier had I not lost the DVD.
You did,
I believe we were going to watch it at my house. Yep. And if I remember right, we may have watched Captain Ron instead because I consider them both to be good sea movies.
Hey, Swab, give me another Bruce.
You're right. Despite my drug and alcohol addled brain, I specifically remember that event.
I opened the DVD box and it was not in there.
I was looking through a stack of DVDs that had been sprayed with room cleaner or something.
Febreze. It ate through the CD backings.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, Cabin Boy has a 46% reviewer score and a 42% audience score. So rotten.
That's wild to me that the audience score is lower than the reviewer score.
Well, you can't really take those things to heart. I think all the Marvel movies have pretty decent scores, and they're all fucking trash.
If you actually scroll down and look at the scores, like the older reviews are really low, but the newer the review is, the higher it is.
Ooh, interesting.
People are coming around to it. I can't remember what the last line is, but I'm just going to put it right here.
Oh, Nathaniel, your words melt like butter in my brain.
Can you imagine a world where Chris Elliot had the same budgets and level of notoriety as like Adam Sandler? Which I love Sandler, don't get me wrong.
It's not fair.
No, it's not.
Adam Sandler, I know you love him. It's just screaming nonsense.
Please, Billy, please, no gibberish tonight, please, I beg you.
And I guess Chris Elliott's, his shtick is just saying nonsense with a self-important attitude.
He's just being very genuine.
Yeah. I just want to say that I've been looking at the glamour shot of Chris Elliot.
This entire show.
Yes, and it's really something.
He's clearly wearing a fucking wig in that shot.
It was.
And how?
Chris Elliott is one of the best to ever do it. One of the funniest goddamn people. And his dad as well. I think I'm going to try to find some Bob and Ray to listen to this week.
We're fans.
The fact that his dad is so willing to just go along with whatever he's got going on is promising to me.
Do you think that he was just throwing his dad a bone so that his dad could have a job?
He was pretty old at that point.
I doubt it. Oh, you know what? It might have had something to do with like SAG. Because you have to be in something every once in a while.
That's true, yeah.
But Bob Elliott didn't die until 2016. He was like 93 years old.
He looks so old.
Yeah, in this he's only like 63, but he looks 93.
He does look a little shrunken up for sure.
Even in the sketches from like the 70s, he looked old. He's just like Chris Elliott. He always looked old.
Yeah, Chris Elliott look has never changed, huh?
Now he always has that like beard and balding head.
We call that ever old.
Anthony Hopkins disease.
Richard Dreyfuss.
I was going to say Patrick Stewart.
You know that Patrick Stewart went bald when he was 19?
I figured he was just born like that. I figured he always looked old.
In Star Trek, in the movie, I can't remember which one it is, he pulls out a picture of himself as a young man. They got like this young man, gave him like a bald head. So it's like this like 19-year-old man with a bald head. And it doesn't make any sense because on the show, when they would show Captain Picard as younger, he would have a full head of hair.
Huh. That's strange.
It's like this weird choice they made. I don't know. The TNG movies are awful.
Yeah, don't get him started on the Star Trek.
Whoa.
Sorry.
You're out of your mind.
You brought up Patrick Stewart.
I know, that's my bad.
Have you seen the photo of him with the wig that they were thinking about sticking him in for Star Trek?
Oh.
So bizarre looking.
Was it like a Chris Elliott wig?
Kind of. It was like thinning hair, gray wig.
Wow.
It's kind of funny.
The network said that they didn't think that people would accept a bald captain.
Stupid.
And Gene Roddenberry's reply was, in the 24th century, no one will care when you're bald.
Wow.
You cannot argue with.
Which later becomes a line in one of the movies. Yeah, I believe it's in Insurrection.
Really?
Basically, almost a carbon copy of that line comes up in the movie.
I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah. Some hot alien lady is touching on his bald head and says something about, I haven't seen a bald man in 200 years. It's like, oh yeah, nobody cares.
Bye-bye. Think about me, all right? oh, man, do I hate them fancy lads.